Hey, what's up everyone? If you've been following the channel for some time, then you know that I'm a longtime fan of the Galaxy Note series, and the 7 has finally arrived. Today, we're kicking off the first video review. I've already got over 30 or 40 cases available, but we're starting with Spigen. We'll cover off on installation, design, functionality, pricing, and availability, as well as a few other things. Ian here from Udroid Mania, and you're watching my full review. So let's get started. First up, we've got the thin fit case. It's a one-piece polycarbonate. It weighs about 0.6 ounces. It's ultra light and installation is super easy. You just snap it in. Right away, I'll tell you what I really enjoy about this case. It's the way that it feels in the hand. I mean, it's got like this nice grippy feeling, so you're definitely not worried about dropping the phone. Along the bottom, and this will be a theme in today's videos, you're going to have the proper cutouts because Spigen is known for their precision. And of course, I'm going to check the S Pen to make sure that that detaches properly. And as you've seen, no issues here. I like that the volume up and down buttons are left exposed so you can feel the bare metal. Up top, there's just a simple cutout for the noise cancelling microphone. Coming around to the right hand side, you've got the power button, which is also open. On the back of the case, there's a raised cutout for the camera, flash, and heart rate monitor, with plenty of room to get your thumb in there. Moving down to the bottom of the case, you've got some nice Spigen branding here, and along the perimeter, you've got a 1mm bezel, so you'll have some minimal protection at best. But if we're buying this case, we're not buying it for protection, right? So that about does it for design. I did check the ports. I also checked to make sure that it works with your wireless chargers. This case is pretty affordable, coming in at under 10 bucks on Amazon. The link is down below if you're interested, so go and check it out. Next, we've got the Tough Armor. It's a two-piece case made from a TPU inner and a polycarbonate outer. It is military certified for drop protection. It's got a slim profile, weighs about 1.6 ounces, so it does add a bit more bulk to your phone, but it's easy to install. Here's a look at the front of the case, and now the back. Along the bottom, you've got those precise cutouts again, but this time they're a little deeper, so we're going to take a look at those closer. But first, I got to make sure that the S Pen works, and as you can see here again, no issues. When it comes to accessing your USB 3.0 port, there's plenty of room for cable access, so your phone will be all charged up in no time. Next, I took a look at the cutout for the 3.5mm headphone jack, and the same thing here, just as you'd expect. There's plenty of room to plug in a standard pair of earbuds. On the left hand side, you've got two large buttons for the volume up and down. They're tactile, you get a nice amount of feedback, plus they're responsive. Up top, you've got the cutout for the noise cancelling microphone, nothing more, nothing less. On the right hand side, you've got a button labeled PWR for power that works just the same, and I think Spigen has done a nice job with the buttons on this case. A little further down, we've got the words Tough Armor etched here. On the back of the case, you'll find that the camera is protected. I did take a few photos. You're not going to get any shadows or ghosting or anything funny like that. So let's move on to the kickstand. At first glance, it may not look like it, but the kickstand is completely plastic. I can tell by the feel. And speaking of the way it feels, it doesn't feel too sturdy, but I'll say that it does get the job done. You can prop your phone up and watch videos without having to worry about it tipping over or falling down, so it can come in handy. The main thing to note about this kickstand is that since this is a two-part case, if you were to separate the two pieces like I'm doing here, the kickstand does come completely out. Being that this is one of the bulkier cases that we're going to look at today, I did take a look at signal strength on the phone to make sure that there's no degradation there. Both times I found that the case worked just as I'd expected it to. And as you can see here, and as far as I can tell, nothing's being blocked and everything's working perfectly. I kinda expected this though, since there's not really any aluminum in this case, and there shouldn't be really anything blocking the antennas. But if you're on the market for a thicker or aluminum metal type case, this is something you might want to think about. When it comes to that lay on the table support, this case has got about a 2 or so millimeter bezel, so the Tough Armor's got you protected. When I purchased this case a few weeks ago, it was about 16 bucks on Amazon. The link is down below if you're interested, so go and check it out. Next up, I've got the Ultra Hybrid. This here is a one-piece case. It's made from a flexible TPU bumper and a polycarbonate back. The bumpers do come in 4 colors. I have here the black. The first thing I noticed right after removing the protective plastic is that it's a fingerprint magnet, so you're going to want to keep the microfiber cloth handy. Installation with this one as well is super easy. I do like how the black bumper complements the Note 7, but I'm not so sure with a crystal clear back. I mean, for me, it's the fingerprints. I'd have to constantly clean the case, and that's also one of the main reasons why I keep a case on my Note, because I like it to stay clean. With that said, let's go ahead and take a tour. Starting along the bottom of the case, you guessed it, precise cutouts. And when it comes to the S Pen, 3 for 3. I did confirm access to the ports as you can see here, and everything's in working order. On the left hand side you've got the volume up and down buttons. They're set in the TPU bumper and they're raised. They're also easy to press and responsive. Up top, just the noise cancelling mic cutout, but I have to show you that. On the right hand side you've got the power button. It's clicky, responsive. It's also raised and you'll know when you've pressed it. Along the bottom here, you've got some nice Spigen branding etched into the side of the case. I think that's a nice touch. When it comes to the back of the case, as I mentioned earlier, it is a fingerprint magnet, number 1, and 2, being that it's a hard polycarbonate, it's prone to scratches. This case was about $13 when I bought it. The link's down below if you're interested, so go and check it out. Next up, I've got the Neo Hybrid Crystal in satin silver. It comes in multiple colors. It's a 2-piece case made from a TPU bumper and a TPU case. They're both flexible. Together they add 1.4 ounces to your phone. When it comes to the install, just snap it on. Do it as one, it's easier that way. And save yourself a bit of time, trust me. This one's not as much of a fingerprint magnet as the Ultra Hybrid is, and it may be the way to go. But before making your decision, how about having a closer look? We're starting at the bottom, and once again the cutouts are precise. You can eject the S Pen with no issues. The volume up and down buttons are built into the bottom portion of the TPU, and yes, they're raised. In fact, these buttons work and feel just as good as they do on the Ultra Hybrid. Up top, the cutout for the noise cancelling microphone is barely noticeable, but it's there. Now would be a good time to point out that what I like about these buttons is the fact that they're not part of the outer TPU ring, and that makes them easier to press. You've got that similar Spigen branding etched into the side here. So far these cases are very similar, but what I do notice is that rainbow effect. And if you've seen some of my other videos, then you have an idea of what I'm talking about. If you don't, there's a link down below, so after this one, go and check it out. When it comes to wireless charging, with this case it works just fine as you can see here, for that quick top off when you need it. If you're looking for lay on the table support, rest assured because it's there. Spigen's got you covered. When I purchased this case, it was about 15 or 16 bucks, and the link's down below if you're interested, so go and check it out. Next up, we've got the Rugged Armor. This is a flexible one-piece TPU case. It's lightweight, comes in black. It does have that carbon fiber look here, which is a nice touch that a lot of people like. As I mentioned earlier, this is a flexible TPU, so you're going to get some minimal scratch and drop protection. When it comes to the installation, this one's super easy as well. You'll just snap the case in, and after it's fully installed, it looks really nice on the phone. Here's a quick look at the back of the case, and you can see exactly what I mean. It maintains the thin profile of the phone, and it feels good in the hand. The cutouts are precise, and I had no issues accessing the ports here. When it comes to the S Pen, I guess you really do need a fingernail these days to get it out. But I can't hold that against Spigen or the Rugged Armor case, because the cutout has plenty of room. When it comes to the feel of the buttons, they're responsive. There's a nice feel to them, but it seems like there's a lot of play here. When you press them, however, they do respond just as you'd expect, which is really what we want, so we're going to come back to those. Up top, everything's in order with the noise cancelling mic cutout, so we're moving on. When it comes to the power button, this one's got a little better feel than the volume up and down, which is strange to me because I've never had any quality issues from Spigen. Whenever you get a new case, I always recommend that you take photos to make sure that everything's in order there. With the Rugged Armor, we're good. Along the bottom here, you've got some nice Spigen branding. This time it's on the back of the case. The color scheme here, I like. What I don't like so much about this case is that it seems like you've got about a 1mm bezel. It doesn't really cover the edge. And that's when I found that this case is very loose by the volume buttons. It's just something to consider if you're interested in this case. It's 10 bucks, the links are down below, so go and check it out. Next, we've got the Neo Hybrid. In this case also comes in multiple colors. I chose the gunmetal here because I am a big fan of the darker colors. The Neo Hybrid has a polycarbonate ring for the outer, and a TPU inner with a nice pattern on the back. If you're wondering what's the difference between this one and the Neo Hybrid Crystal, since this one has the polycarbonate outer ring, you're going to get more protection out of this one and no fingerprints. I'd also say that this one has a slightly better feeling in the hand. And here's our first look. The install was pretty easy, and as you can see here, it does complement the Note7 very well. And with that said, let's go ahead and take the tour. Along the bottom, we've got some pretty spacious but precise cutouts. I did test them and everything's in working order, including the S Pen, which is important for daily use. The volume up and down buttons are part of the TPU here, and they're nice. They're sensitive and they respond just when you want them to. Here's a look up top, nothing out of the ordinary, so we're moving on. On the back of the case, the camera's been tested, tried, and proven good with this case. In terms of Neo Hybrid, this is probably the best case that I've had from them for the Galaxy Note series. It's got a decent sized bezel around the perimeter of the display without impact to the edge. This case, just like those before it, also supports wireless charging, so there's no need to remove it. Overall, I'd say this case is a pretty solid deal, coming in at about 14 bucks. The link is down below if you're interested, so go and check it out. Next up, we have the ultra thin liquid crystal case. It's clear as in the name crystal. It's got a TPU bumper with a hard back. This is a flexible case, but the corners of it are reinforced, so you do get some drop protection, but I mean minimal. When it comes to the installation, it's rated quick and easy, since this one just slips right on. It's got a nice feeling in the hand, adding a bit more grip to the phone, which is something that we need, being that the Note 7 is all glass. When it comes to the volume up and down buttons, as well as the power, they all have a clicky feeling to them, and I really like that. And you also have large and spacious cutouts along the bottom, and easy access to the S Pen. There's a 1mm bezel at the top and bottom, so you've got some lay on the table support, but dare I say it, put a screen protector on it. That's if we can find one that's decent, that is. I've already got a few here on deck, and I just need some time to form my thoughts and opinions on them. But coming back to this case, it was about 10 bucks when I bought it. It's not my favorite case, but it's not the worst either. This case is thin, it adds no extra bulk. If you're interested, you know the drill, so check down below. Next, we've got the Wallet-esque kickstand cover. First off, I'll tell you that it's not real leather, but boy does it feel like it. This case is nice and soft, and it's got that thin fit case on the inside that makes installation easy, since the phone just snaps right in. You've got a magnetic clasp to keep things closed, nice and secure, and this is why Spigen says face your cards to the right. And speaking of cards, there's 3 slots for them, and they're pretty spacious, so you can get them in there. And if you carry cash, there's even room for some bills. Now, like I mentioned earlier, this is a thin fit case, so your volume and power buttons are left exposed. For me, that's one thing that I really enjoy because I like being able to touch the metal on the phone. The cutouts here along the bottom are familiar because we've seen these already today. And in case you're wondering, this case also works with wireless charging, so you're not going to have to remove it to charge the phone. It's solid and sturdy and feels like it could take a couple of drops, although I wouldn't recommend that with any phone. You can rest assured because there is some protection here. I don't feel like this case adds a lot of bulk in the hand. It's got the right amount of protection around the camera. Just keep in mind you're going to have to open it to take an occasional photo, but we're used to that by now. But one of the best things you can do with this case is to prop it up and watch Udroid Mania videos. And of course I'm going to like that. 16 bucks for design, function, and fun. Who could ask for more? The links are down below if you're interested, so go and check it out. And last but not least, we've got the crystal shell. Before we dig into this case, if you've made it this far, let me start by saying that I'm going to give each one of these cases away to the first 9 people that tell me which one they want, so leave that in the comments below. It's first come, first serve. I'm going to be shipping these cases from Amazon, so the only thing is that you have to be here in the States and that you're subscribed to the channel. So let's get into this case. Installation is easy, you just snap it in. Here's a quick look at the front of the case. And now the back. The crystal shell was one of my favorite cases for the S7 Edge, but I don't know, for the Note 7, I think I'm still on the fence. This case also has those large and spacious cutouts along the bottom, and of course they're precise. And it also includes the one for the S Pen, just as you can see here. The crystal shell is certified for drop protection using Spigen's air cushion technology, which is why this case has those beefed up corners. When it comes to the volume up and down buttons, they respond nicely to the touch, just as you'd expect. Overall, with any Spigen case, I could say you're not going to have any issues here. Up top, you've got the usual cutout for the noise cancelling microphone. When it comes to the power button on the right side, it responds just the same. On the back of the case lies the cutout for the camera, flash, and heart rate monitor. Overall, I gotta say if you're a fan of Spigen cases, there's probably something here for everyone. Whether you're looking for protection, something that's a bit more stylish, a case that just works, or one that's affordable. Right now, they're all here. Personally, I don't have a reason not to recommend any of these cases. I'd say they're all a go. So out of this first group, if you're wondering, which is the case that I'll be using for my Note 7, it's the thin fit. Of course, I think that this is the one that'll give me the best chances of pairing it with a screen protector. Plus, I really like how it feels in the hand. Okay, so there you have it. You've just seen 9 top cases by Spigen for the Galaxy Note 7. What do you think of these cases? Which is your favorite? Leave it in the comments below. Now that we've got this series started, while I wait for one more screen protector to arrive for the Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge, to round out part 2 of the comparison video. Hopefully I'll have that this week. There's also going to be a GPEL giveaway. If you're new to the channel, now would be the time to go ahead and subscribe so that you can be involved in that. As always, I'd like to thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you in my next one.